before the relentless external noise demands another ounce of your precious energy. Simply stop right where you are. Stop moving, planning, and analyzing the ghosts of your past. Take a deep, intentional, grounding breath right now. Do not skip this vital threshold to your spiritual liberation. Inhale slowly, drawing air deep into your stomach. Hold it for a heartbeat to anchor your spirit. Then exhale, releasing the crushing weight of betrayal and unseen emotional labor from your tired shoulders. Unclench your jaw, let the overworked muscles behind your eyes soften, and drop your shoulders. Notice how this deliberate act of presence fundamentally shifts your internal atmosphere. You are entirely safe here, deeply seen, and fiercely understood by your sovereign soul. Now, brace yourself for a monumental, structural, and entirely irreversible shift in your reality, because on this highly fated date of the 10th of April 2026, the cosmos is initiating a profound psychological audit of your entire existence. Today, we are witnessing the stark, uncompromising, and deeply revealing energy of the last quarter moon, descending into the heavy, grounded, entirely non-negotiable earth sign of Capricorn. This is not a day for fleeting emotions, gentle daydreams, or romanticized illusions. This is a day of absolute, cold, hard, undeniable structural reality. The last quarter moon is the universal phase of the ultimate clearing. The cosmic eviction notice, the exact moment the universe demands that you violently tear down the outdated, rotting structures of your past to make way for your true empire. And because this heavy lunar phase is happening in Capricorn, the sign of the executive, the authority, the architect, and the CEO of the zodiac, this is not just an emotional release. It is a ruthless, necessary, highly strategic business decision regarding the investment of your soul. For the past several weeks, months, or perhaps even agonizing years, you have been treating your heart, your energy, and your highly valuable biological time like an endless, unregulated charity for a completely bankrupt individual. You have been operating in a catastrophic deficit. You poured the infinite, golden, roaring ocean of your beautiful soul into a cracked, shallow, fundamentally unstable foundation, desperately, tragically hoping that your sheer volume of unconditional love would somehow miraculously build a castle out of quicksand. You fell deeply, hopelessly, completely in love with the potential of who they could magically become, entirely ignoring the crushing, devastating, daily reality of the terrible return on your emotional investment. You fell in love with a brilliant, self-created, completely imaginary projection of how much you could give, how much you could heal, and how much you could fix. You took on the exhausting, completely unpaid role of their emotional manager, their spiritual life coach, their constant cheerleader, and their tireless shock absorber. You were managing their moods, mitigating their disasters, tiptoeing around their fragile egos, and constantly explaining away their blatant lack of consistency. You were working massive, soul-crushing emotional overtime for a relationship that was fundamentally incapable of paying you the basic wage of human decency, respect, and loyalty. You took the sparse, pathetic, deeply manipulative breadcrumbs of their validation, a random text, a fleeting moment of basic eye contact, a half-hearted apology, and you wildly, desperately inflated them into sweeping, cinematic promises of a grand future. You built a magnificent, towering, golden empire in your mind, but you were trying to build it with a partner who didn't even want to lay a single brick. You told yourself, and your completely exhausted friends, that they were just beautifully broken, just heavily traumatized, just not used to being loved so purely, so intensely. You told yourself their agonizing, punishing distance was actually a profound sign of their deep, silent respect for your fierce independence. You fundamentally, at a cellular, biological level, believed that if you just provided enough silence, enough boundless patience, and enough unconditional, unwavering devotion, you could eventually earn your rightful throne beside them. But today, under the heavy, penetrating, deeply sobering light of the Capricorn last quarter moon, the cosmic auditor has arrived. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of karma, time, hard lessons, and ultimate reality. Saturn does not care about your romanticized potential. Saturn only cares about what is actually, physically, demonstrably real. And today, the universe is forcing you to sit down in the executive boardroom of your own soul, open the ledgers of your past relationship, and look at the cold, hard, undeniable math. The supreme, piercing energy of this Capricorn transit is forcing you to look directly at the brutal, incredibly liberating truth. This connection was a terrible investment. You are realizing, with a sharp, diamond-like, terrifying precision, that you cannot build a high-vibrational, deeply sovereign, spiritually aligned, and physically secure empire with someone who is entirely, aggressively, permanently committed to their own chaotic mediocrity. You cannot do the necessary blood, sweat, and tears foundational work for another human being. You cannot force a person with the mindset of a beggar to suddenly step up and rule as a king or queen. The deeply romanticized, cinematic illusion of being a tragic victim of love or enduring a painful, destined twin flame journey is finally, permanently dead. You are stepping completely out of the theater of illusions, leaving the badly written, exhausting, highly repetitive play entirely behind and walking out into the harsh, beautiful, undeniable sunlight of radical, structural reality. This is the absolute death of your internal savior complex, the version of you that was willing to frantically, desperately trade your sacred peace of mind, your hard-earned self-respect, your precious biological time, and your complete sanity for a temporary, agonizing hit of being seen by an emotionally unavailable, fundamentally blind person is officially, permanently dead. You are violently shedding the heavy, suffocating, rusted iron skin of the supporter, the unpaid therapist, and the emotional shock absorber. This powerful, aggressive astrological transit is taking a massive cosmic wrecking ball and violently smashing the false pedestals you built for them. It is severing the thick, heavy, parasitic, energetic cords that have kept you completely paralyzed in a state of perpetually waiting for their potential to manifest. You have been living your entire, beautiful, incredibly short, infinitely valuable life in a dark, suffocating cosmic waiting room. You have kept one eye permanently fixed on the digital door, constantly checking your phone, waiting for the miraculous epiphany, the cinematic moment they finally wake up from their ego-driven slumber, look at the grand architecture of your love, and deeply realize they cannot survive a single day without your blinding light. You have been keeping a heavy, velvet chair pulled out in the boardroom of your life for a person who only ever wanted to use your beautiful, radiant light as a temporary flashlight to find their own cowardly way out of the dark, leaving you entirely behind the exact moment they felt safe again. But the authoritative energy of Capricorn requires discipline, boundaries, and ultimate self-respect. As you finally, bravely close the account on this desperate, clawing attachment, an incredibly ancient, suppressed, buried CEO within you is rising to the surface. You are moving from desperately, pathetically seeking power and validation in the empty, hollow eyes of an emotionally bankrupt partner to entirely being the absolute executive power itself. You are realizing that needing them to regret losing you, or secretly needing them to validate your immense worth after the fact, is just another covert, insidious form of energetic debt. It still secretly hands them the financial control of your spiritual kingdom. When you are truly authoritative, When the grounded earth of Capricorn has forged your self-worth into an impenetrable mountain, you simply do not need anyone's agreement to be right. You are no longer letting the external world or a specific, deeply flawed person's breadcrumb text message validate the existence of your massive, blinding light. You are no longer letting a parasitic ghost dictate your daily, inherent, staggering self-worth. This is exactly where you experience the physical, biological, and structural manifestation of radical authority. For months, or perhaps even agonizing years, you have been artificially, forcefully holding this toxic person up in the astral realm by being their silent, devoted, sacrificial pillar. You have been their invisible, tireless, completely unpaid, energetic support system, even when you were not physically speaking, even when you were in strict, agonizing no contact, even when you were physically thousands of miles apart. You were actively, constantly directing a massive, glowing, highly concentrated, life-giving stream of your vital life force directly into their reality, just to keep their fragile, bloated ego from completely collapsing. You were constantly worrying about their progress, silently, desperately praying for their healing, extensively analyzing their social media for any tiny sign of structural change, and keeping the heavy, energetic doorway completely wide open. They felt this. Make absolutely no mistake. Their soul felt this immense, unconditional provision. They unconsciously, selfishly, parasitically relied on this energetic subsidy to survive. Your unseen, profound, spiritual devotion was the invisible, unlimited credit line that allowed them to be so incredibly casual with your beating heart, to ignore your brilliant light so easily, and to walk away so confidently. They knew, on a deep, primal, subconscious, almost animal level, that you were still energetically tethered to them, still faithfully, pathetically keeping their account open. They knew they had unlimited VIP, all access to your high vibrational energy without having to take a single microscopic ounce of real-world adult responsibility for it. But as the last quarter moon firmly plants its heavy, authoritative boots on the ground in Capricorn today, you are going to finally, permanently, and ruthlessly liquidate the asset. You are going to take your immense, golden, roaring, life-giving energy. You are going to firmly, violently unplug it from their hollow, leaking, pathetic vessel, and you are going to fiercely, unapologetically redirect every single precious drop of it back into your own sovereign life, your own creative projects, your own physical body, and the solid architecture of your own wildly expansive future. When you do this, when the energetic cord is actually completely cut in your heart, not just intellectually in your mind, they are going to feel the massive, terrifying drop in their spiritual bank account. They will feel it instantly across the entire quantum field. A sudden, chilling, highly terrifying, completely unexplained poverty of spirit will violently enter their reality. The unconditional light, the spiritual warmth, and the heavy energetic safety net you unknowingly provided for them will simply vanish overnight. They will wake up and feel an unexplained, terrifying coldness in their life. They will suddenly, painfully realize they are in a terrifying freefall, and the immense safety net of your endless, foolish devotion has been completely incinerated by the absolute reality of Capricorn. Because of this massive, sudden energetic disruption, because the loyal, dependable employee has suddenly, without warning, become the untouchable, unreachable, highly elevated CEO, they are going to experience a sudden, desperate, highly chaotic panic. They are going to experience the final extinction, the crushing, heavy, suffocating realization of what they have actually permanently lost. And they will realize this, not because they suddenly, miraculously evolved to love you, but because they are suddenly starving for the specific, high-grade energy you used to effortlessly feed them. This is exactly why the universe operates with such profound, almost comical, absolute clockwork irony. The exact moment you truly, authentically, down to the deepest marrow of your bones, entirely no longer care if they ever see you again. That is the exact, precise, mathematically certain moment they will feel desperately, obsessively, aggressively compelled to reach out and attempt to worship you. They will hover in your digital energy field like a desperate, hungry ghost trying to find a cracked window back into a magnificent, towering, impenetrable fortress that has finally permanently been sealed shut with solid stone and iron. They will absolutely start manifesting in your 3D reality in highly predictable, high-intensity, yet pathetically transparent and completely ungrounded ways. They might send a completely explosive, highly dramatic, emotionally manipulative text message in the middle of the night, declaring that they've just had a profound, spiritual awakening about you being the only one for them. They might suddenly start watching all of your stories or liking your most powerful photos after months of dead, punishing silence. They might find a trivial, nonsensical, utterly transparent excuse to contact you, asking for advice on a mundane topic or bringing up a random, nostalgic memory of your shared destiny just to see if it still makes your heart flutter and your boundaries drop. They will throw a massive, calculated authority crumb in your direction. They are doing this purely as an energetic reconnaissance mission, a desperate audit of their own, to see if you are still desperately starving for their recognition. They want to check if you will still drop everything, completely abandon your newly built walls, forget everything you've learned, and dive to the muddy floor to pick up that pathetic crumb. They want to see if the 24/7 servant service is still open for business. They want to see if they can still get free, unearned, unrestricted access to your brilliant light without having to actually bow, commit, fundamentally change, or step up to your entirely new level of massive Capricornian authority. In the past, before this specific, fated planetary alignment of the last quarter moon in Capricorn, this is exactly where you would have stumbled. This is exactly where the toxic trap would have flawlessly worked. Your heart would have raced, your mind would have gone into absolute overdrive, the dopamine would have violently flooded your brain, and you would have immediately, eagerly broken all of your hard-earned boundaries to be understood and chosen by them one last time. You would have abandoned your newly built empire all over again, eagerly compromising your deep, hard-won peace just for a temporary, fleeting, totally illusory moment of their fractured conditionnel. Attention, but not this time. Not under the fierce, uncompromising, heavily structured sky of Capricorn, because the version of you that existed before this intense, purging, cosmic energy arrived is completely, permanently gone. When they inevitably reach out, when they predictably circle back with their intense, dramatic, chaotic energy, you are going to experience the ultimate, final cosmic test of your newly established authority. The universe is handing you this specific test on a silver platter, not to punish you, not to drag you backward into the mud, but to allow you the immense, intoxicating pleasure of proving to yourself exactly how incredibly powerful, detached, completely structured, and entirely sovereign you have truly become. And you are going to pass it with flying, undeniable, magnificent, breathtaking colors. You are going to look at their text message, observing their pathetic, transparent attempt to disrupt your hard-won peace, and you will feel absolute, unshakable, profound boredom. There will be no panic, no desperate, clawing hope, no urge to prove how well you are doing, and absolutely no frantic desire to call your friends in a frenzy to analyze what their sudden epiphany means. You will simply observe it like a detached, highly elevated, completely untouchable monarch, watching a very predictable, poorly written, incredibly boring play performed far below your impenetrable mountain fortress. Looking at the authority crumb on your glowing screen, you will calmly, beautifully, logically realize that you are an entire, vast, expanding, highly successful empire of pure light. You are simply no longer interested in the flickering, dying, completely irrelevant opinions of a bankrupt enterprise. You will not respond out of anger, because to feel anger means you still care. You will not type out a perfectly crafted, highly emotional, multi-paragraph explanation of why they are too late, how much they deeply hurt you, or how much you have miraculously grown. You will not demand the apology, the explanation, or the closure you once begged for on your hands and knees. You will realize, guided by the supreme, grounded wisdom of Capricorn, in a sudden flash of brilliant, diamond-clear insight, that the absolute highest form of authority is never a perfectly articulated argument, a clever comeback, or a desperate plea for understanding. The absolute highest form of authority is your own total, unbroken, deafening, absolute silence. Authority is an internal, unilateral executive decision to simply move on into your own high frequency, leaving them entirely in the past where they safely, permanently belong. You will leave them on read, both digitally on your phone and energetically in the vast quantum field. You will fiercely, ruthlessly protect your peace, your sacred space, and your new timeline with the absolute, terrifying ferocity of a dragon guarding a sacred, ancient, golden city. This is the exact, microscopic, highly fated moment your entirely new existence is officially born. By completely refusing to engage with the chaotic, lower frequency, vampiric energy of the past, and by flatly, permanently refusing to ever step foot back into that suffocating waiting room, you are sending the most powerful, undeniable, high-voltage energetic frequency out to the universe. You are declaring, with absolute, unshakable, terrifying finality, that your brilliant, limitless light is now strictly, exclusively reserved for the royalty you have become. You are showing the universe, through your physical actions and your impenetrable energetic boundaries, that you finally, truly know your staggering, infinite worth. Because of this monumental, timeline-shifting shift, because you absolutely passed the cosmic test of April 10, your entire romantic blueprint and your very destiny are being fundamentally rewritten from the ground up. The old, painful, unstable timeline is entirely collapsing. The new, golden, structurally sound timeline is locking firmly into place. You are realizing that true, authentic, soul-aligned, high-vibrational love does not ever feel like a desperate, exhausting struggle for power. It does not feel like an endless courtroom trial where you must constantly submit evidence of your worth and your loyalty. It does not feel like an agonizing, back-breaking, daily emotional labor performed just to keep someone basically interested in your existence. It does not require you to constantly suppress your own authority, shrink your magnificent light, bite your tongue, walk on eggshells, or perform exhausting emotional gymnastics just to be deemed worthy of basic human consistency, absolute honesty, and profound respect. True love feels like deep, profound, biological nervous system regulation. It feels like stepping into a deeply secure, unshakable fortress after a long, exhausting, bloody, decade-long war. It feels incredibly, almost shockingly expansive and profoundly, beautifully secure. It feels undeniably, unequivocally, entirely safe. It is a sacred connection where your biggest, most terrifyingly ambitious dreams are met with immense, unshakable encouragement, where your natural, radiant authority is not just respected, but actively, loudly, consistently celebrated. In this highly elevated space, you never, ever spend a single agonizing second awake at night, desperately guessing if you are too much for them or if they are going to suddenly pack up and leave. The transformative planetary shift of the last quarter moon in Capricorn is forcefully clearing the heavy, lingering shadows out of the executive suite of your soul, violently kicking open the massive double doors and letting the brilliant, fresh, oxygenated light of your infinite potential entirely flood into the room. Because you have painstakingly, bravely created this beautifully protected, empty space and completely stopped enabling the toxic dynamics of the past, you are now highly, dangerously, undeniably magnetic. But you must deeply understand this new, absolute law of physics. You are absolutely no longer magnetic to the wounded, broken souls who desperately need you to be their emotional servant or unpaid therapist. You have permanently, officially retired from the exhausting, entirely thankless job of providing for the emotionally bankrupt. You are no longer a glowing beacon for energy vampires who want to consume your light because they are too cowardly to generate their own. You are now exclusively, powerfully magnetic to the aligned, conscious, fully healed individuals who have done their own heavy lifting in the dark. You are attracting an energetic frequency that perfectly, flawlessly matches your new, highly elevated vibration of radical self-authority. You are calling in a partner entirely ready to meet you in your absolute, unapologetic wholeness, someone who wants to stand powerfully shoulder to shoulder with you, looking in the exact same direction to build an absolute empire of deep peace, profound joy, and mutual exponential growth. But you cannot bypass the reality of what it took to get here. You must pause, right now, and deeply, tenderly, forgive the past version of yourself that stayed too long. That version of you kept you alive until you were strong enough, conscious enough, and angry enough to finally leave. You did your absolute best with the emotional tools and the level of awareness you had at that specific time in your life. Do not ruthlessly punish the past version of yourself for not knowing what you know right now. You have significantly better tools now. You have a forged, undeniable wisdom and an impenetrable, glowing shield of radical self-authority around your heart. The future that is rushing toward you right now, racing down your newly cleared, golden timeline at light speed, is so incredibly bright, so impossibly vast, and so profoundly beautiful that it would completely blind the wounded version of you from 6 months ago. The love that is coming for you, the true, authentic, aligned, powerful partnership that the universe has been meticulously preparing behind the scenes while you were busy learning these brutal, hard lessons, will not require you to shrink a single inch of your soul. It will not require you to constantly explain your massive value or beg for basic support. It will arrive naturally, effortlessly, and organically, entirely devoid of the painful mind games, the agonizing silent treatments, the push and pull dynamics, and the exhausting, dramatic chaos you were once so tragically addicted to. But it all starts right here. It starts right now. The very microscopic moment this text enters your spirit. It starts with you making a sacred, unbreakable, completely non-negotiable blood vow to yourself that you will never, ever, under any circumstances, again abandon your own authority just to keep someone else safe in their smallness. It starts with you fully, consciously acknowledging that the painful, confusing, toxic connection you have been holding onto with a desperate, white-knuckled grip was merely a turbulent, burning bridge to your own profound spiritual awakening, not your final, beautiful destination. It was the harsh, agonizing, absolutely necessary catalyst that forcefully ripped you out of your comfort zone, forced you to look deeply within, to heal your deepest, oldest wounds of scarcity, and to finally, irrevocably choose your own greatness, your own peace, over anyone else's comfort. You are ready. You have always, from the moment you took your first breath, been ready for this. The universe was simply waiting for you to get incredibly, deeply, profoundly tired of the drama. The universe was simply waiting for you to finally realize your own immense, staggering power so you could confidently claim the whole sky rather than begging for a patch of dirt. The profound, igniting, truth-seeking astrological energy of April 10 is the powerful, sweeping cosmic wind at your back, pushing you gently but incredibly, undeniably firmly into the new, elevated, sovereign reality you always deserved but were simply too afraid to claim. Take one final, deep, anchoring, grounding breath. Place your right hand firmly over your solar plexus center, the glowing, powerful, undeniable seat of your personal authority. Press it there firmly. Close your eyes. Feel the steady, reliable, immensely powerful, rhythmic vibration of your own physical existence beneath your palm. Feel the warm, life-giving blood flowing through your veins. That beating heart is your ultimate truth. That is your undeniable magic. That is your powerful, unstoppable engine. That is your true, permanent, unshakable home. Everything outside of this physical body, every relationship, every text message, every rejection is just an experience. Just a temporary, fleeting reflection of where your consciousness was at a certain point in time. But this center, this beautiful, glowing, fierce, untouchable core of authority within you is entirely yours. It belongs to absolutely no one else, and it is completely, eternally impervious to anyone else's darkness, insecurity, or lack of vision. If this message entirely bypassed your logical mind today and spoke directly, intimately, and fiercely to your spirit, if you felt the profound, physical, undeniable shift in your energy field, the sudden goosebumps on your skin, the loosening of the heavy tension in your stomach as you listen to these exact words, do not let this powerful, fleeting, quantum moment pass unacknowledged into the void. Like this message, do this not out of a mindless algorithmic habit, but as a deliberate, physical, conscious, silent declaration to the universe that you are finally, truly, and completely ready to receive the immense authority, the profound peace, and the soul-shaking love that is rapidly unfolding for you on this new, sovereign timeline. Share your journey in the comments below. Declare your authority, state your peace. Let your powerful, honest words serve as a heavy, immovable, energetic anchor for your brand new timeline. There is immense, undeniable, world-shifting, catalytic power in witnessing each other's profound spiritual awakening and realizing you are absolutely not walking this difficult, painful, isolating path alone. Your unique story, your exact words, your specific moment of brilliant realization might be the exact life-saving validation someone else desperately needs to read today to keep themselves from looking backward and staying trapped in the dark, suffocating waiting room of their past. Subscribe to this channel to remain deeply, consistently connected to this high, sovereign frequency as we continue to relentlessly navigate these profound, life-altering, necessary cosmic shifts together in the transformative coming months. We are building an absolute empire of truth here, and your presence is strictly required. Breathe in the absolute, crystal-clear, unshakable reality of this present moment. Fill your entire spirit, every single cell in your physical body, with the vibrant, golden, electric energy of your completely, irrevocably new beginning. Exhale the heavy, tired, pathetic, manipulative echoes of the past shadows. Blow them away into the ether. Watch them dissolve into total nothingness, exactly where they belong. They have absolutely no power here anymore. You are profoundly, deeply safe. You are completely, undeniably sovereign. You are beautifully, miraculously, terrifyingly whole. And your completely new, wildly beautiful, deeply peaceful reality has already arrived. The absolute throne is yours. Welcome home to your authority.